Upon arriving back in Tromsø after the historic Europa League win, Kalle was feeling euphoric, and the troubles he'd had over the past several years had seemingly been pushed to the back of his mind. Henrik had insisted for him to leave the situation alone. Despite promising himself that he wouldn't continue the search, he did feel a twinge of betrayal that he'd become distracted by his sporting interests. Maybe it was for the best, after all. One night, he decided to continue his tradition of catching up with his work in his office at the club. He was probably the only person there. As he walked down the dark corridor to his office and unlocked the door, he began to feel uneasy. As he entered his dim office and placed down his bag, he heard a voice in the dark behind him. "You have no idea how lucky you are." He startled, fumbled for a lamp before turning around. It was Astrid. "You couldn't just lay low, could you?" Kalle tried to reason, but was immediately silenced again. "Sit down and shut up. Your name and face are all over the newspapers. Again. I only asked one thing of you. You think I'm just talking about football? I know about Adam Thomason. I see that stupid tattoo you've tainted yourself with. What the hell are you doing? You may not have noticed this since you've become blinded by your own ego, but they were coming for you after that final. God knows what they would have had planned for you. You got lucky with the win. There was so much attention on you, they clearly had to abort." Kalle's heart sank. He'd been so consumed that he was oblivious to the danger he was in. "You need to disappear for a while. Tomorrow morning, you're handing in your resignation. Tell the club and the fans you've achieved all you can here. Our mutual friend from Stockholm has a safe house you can stay in Greece. We need to get you out of here. If enough time passes and you're still desperate to pursue football, there's only one place that, as far as we know, is not yet sullied by the Nomads. Then, maybe we can go about finding you a job there. But for now, disappear." Kalle grew his beard and his hair out to try to make the best of a bad situation. Despite the beauty of his surroundings, he was unable to relax. He had firmly kicked a wasp's nest and was now waiting for the stings.
"I know you've been patient, but I bring a tiny fragment of good news. The Nomads overplayed their hand with their activities in Norway, and several arrests of high-ranking members have been made. Not for the Nomad links, but for other crimes. At the very least, they're now going to be the ones that were laying low for a bit. So if you want to get out of here and start getting your life back together, now is the time to do it."
As always, if you have been enjoying the series up to this point, drop a like on the video. That would be most spectacular. And thank you for joining me on the latest leg of our wonderful journey across the Nordic nations. It's been a little while for Kalle, 49 years old now. It feels like only yesterday he was just getting started in his managerial career, but it's been a good old run, especially the last 6 years of the save, of course, being at Tromsø, doing some mad stuff. More on them in a minute, because I have several bones. I've got a whole body's worth of bones to pick with them, but that's a side story. But the best thing, of course, is that we have now got 80% rep. Come on, game, show me the 80%. There you go, 80% reputation, which for me is pretty much good enough to walk into any job we want. Now, of course, we have very specific requirements about what jobs we want today, and that is, of course, Denmark, where we have now chosen as our next country we're going to be looking into. Now, of course, with the rule, we decided it was going to be 20 years since the last title, otherwise we're starting to get into a little bit of trouble. Now, that does, of course, exclude a few teams from Denmark in there as well, but there's plenty of other ones available in addition to that, and of course, we do want a little bit of a project as well. You don't just really want to take over a team and be able to win the league straight away. That's no fun in that. The whole part of it is squad building, and I suspect that we're going to find the perfect job for that. Now, it has been 15 months since Kalle left Tromsø, so a lot of things have happened in that time. He's just been sunning himself in the Greek islands and having a bloody lovely time, it would appear, but nevertheless, he still hasn't got a tan though. Jesus, mate, come on. But we move. So, would you like to see what current jobs are available at the 31st of August for the Danish job market? None. Yeah, it was always going to be like that, I suspected. There's been a few little things I've seen come up, but nothing that... Really, the 3 jobs that have come up since I actually had a look have all been 3 of the 4 clubs that we weren't allowed to manage in this save at this point, which is quite funny in a way, really. And it's almost like FM's taunting me, saying, haha, yeah, you could. You're putting restrictions on... I know I am. But that's part of the fun. So with our plan being to move to Denmark, this is the current state of Danish football. You can see that it's been a very dominant period for FC Copenhagen, with that one little blip on the radar there of FC Nordsjælland actually winning a title. I mean, we saw how good FC Copenhagen were. We knocked them out of the semi-finals of the Europa League, and arguably, other than Arsenal in the final, they probably gave us the biggest test in the entire tournament in that 2-legged tie. So they were clearly a quality side. They're top of the league again as we speak. So just sort of catch you up on the past winners so you can see where we're at. Using that sort of 20-year cut-off point, we've kind of obviously got FC Copenhagen excluded. There's a couple of titles in there for Nordsjælland. There is also one in there for Brøndby, and of course for Midtjylland as well. Orbay, though, have fallen off the bottom of the list, so technically they are now back available for it. Now, obviously, were we to get to a silly point, I could potentially say we could stretch it to 10, which would, of course, then bring both Midtjylland and Brøndby back into the fold, but they've only just appointed brand new managers, so it seems unlikely that they're going to be losing them anytime soon. But no doubt, we'll be able to find ourselves a solid job and get to building a brand new team to try and take on the might of Denmark. And honestly, with the way they've been playing, time, I can see it being just as difficult as it was for us to overtake that hegemony that we had in Norway. But before we get stuck into the meat, which is basically me pressing continue for the next 3 hours, I want to show you what's happened with Tromsø. You can see they currently sit third in the league, but are nowhere near the top at the moment. They did win another league title in our absence, which is nice of them. It's good to see that they carried on our legacy, at least. And they did also have some interesting success in Europe as well. But it does appear that the struggles are slightly starting to keep, to catch up with them a little bit. And I suspect it has something to do with their transfers. Because as you can see, in the very first summer, the moment we left, they immediately binned off both Sergio Sarria and Koki Kawamoto to Chelsea for a combined 24 million. Imagine only getting 10 million for Sarria. And 13, close to 14 is okay for Kawamoto. We never had bids that big, but honestly, I was trying to do everything I can to prevent them. But honestly, I still feel like he's worth far more than that, which is played out very nicely when you see that he's immediately worth 42 million to 125 at Chelsea. Oh God, why? But that isn't even the most disappointing thing. The eagle-eyed among you will also note that Pontus Skoglund moved to Barcelona for nothing. They let him go for free. Gets even worse this year. Yeah, it does. Jesse Rakic off to Porto, £5 million. Are you joking? But it gets even worse. In fact, it's got so much worse since I last had a look. Oh my giddy aunt. I came back after like a year to have a little look at what was going on. And up to that point, I'd only seen this, which was Mathias Johansson going to LAFC of all places. What have you done to him? Maybe he just really wanted to nip out to the MLS and have a lovely time in LA. And I can't really blame him, but I can blame them. But these other transfers hadn't happened yet. Lisa's gone to West Brom for £7 million. Georgie Patilla to Man City for £8.5 million. That is a disgraceful transfer. I don't know what they're playing at, honestly. But that's standard transfers, I guess. And not only that, but they also hired the Molde manager to replace me. This is Bjorn Bergman Sigurðarsson, who was the man that replaced me, having... Wow, that's weird. He went from Lillestrøm to Molde to Tromsø. Did win a title, but... It's not great, is it? It's not what you want to see. But that's enough looking at our ex. Let's get our heads down and see what jobs come up in Denmark, and we can hopefully find our next beau. Now, of course, we're not just going to take the first job that comes along, unless it is the perfect one, but there will be less jobs, so there is a strong chance that we could also end up taking the first job that comes along, depending on the club, of course. One of the other features we'll, of course, be making use of is, of course, the job status screen, which, because it's so early in the season in Denmark, there's really no jobs that are in trouble. However, that could very soon change as the season starts to get along a little bit, so we'll be keeping a very close eye on this. It appears that Randers, despite being newly promoted and whatnot, don't appear to be having any trouble with their manager despite their form. I guess they're kind of just happy with that as it is. But there is a chance of a slightly larger side that does poorly, we could step in, or a mid-table side that wants to go to the next level. There's plenty of jobs on the cards here for us. And after all, if it takes us a full season and we end up with another year, then it could be other sides coming up potentially as well. Okay, so first piece of movement within the managerial market potentially is that Michael Hansen's job is slightly more insecure at Silkeborg. It's the first time I've seen one of them actually drop below stable for the moment. It's like watching CFAX waiting for the results and the transfers to come in. On the other side of things, Jan Hall has done a brilliant job at Brøndby and is untouchable now, along with both the Randers manager and of course the AGF manager. And AGF was one of the jobs I was actually kind of interested in at one point, but it appears that with doing so well, it's very unlikely he's going to be going anytime soon. Nordsjælland have struggled a little bit, as have Esbjerg. They've got some financial difficulties, so that's kind of interesting. Along with someone like Jimmy Nielsen as well at Orbay, they could be an interesting job as well, given that they've won plenty of titles in the past, but have never really been able to rekindle that more recently. So things have changed again a little bit. It seems that Silkeborg have sort of sorted themselves out a little bit now, and their manager's gone from being insecure back to being stable again. In fact, the only job that is sort of fully on the line at the moment is Bo Thompson's job at AB in the second tier, who are, well, just draw specialists apparently. I mean, hey, I guess if you need help building a flat pack, they're your guys, but I guess for league wins, probably not. Things are happening now. There is movement in the job market. The job has now become available at AB. I guess finally after the run of draws, that one defeat was the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess. But in interesting news for more of the top flight situation, we'll have a look at the second tier. I assume they're bottom of the league. I don't really think that's the right job for us at this point. Not that we wouldn't take over a team at the bottom of the league, perhaps not the bottom of the second tier, but Jose Campagna's job at Esbjerg is now insecure, and that is more interesting. They have won several league titles in the past. They play at the Blue Water Arena. Presumably it doubles up as a shopping centre. They've got some problems right now. Jose Campagna, the former Levante player, is currently the manager, but his job definitely looks under threat, especially when you consider where they've been more recently in the league. Over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, the lowest they've finished in the top flight in Denmark is 5th place. So regular championship group qualifiers, presumably lots of European football in there too. Regularly being 3rd or 4th, honestly. Last year they were 3rd. This could be the type of job that would be very, very interesting. Obviously, the former club of Jakob Winholm, who, in case you're wondering, is now at Werder Bremen, not scoring for them as well. But this would be a potential one for me, maybe. It definitely feels like the type of job for us. They're predicted third. They currently sit 8th in the top flight, currently missing out on Championship Group qualification football, which for them would probably be pretty catastrophic, but it's certainly not dead yet. I don't know how many more games there are. I think it's 22 games in the first period in Denmark. So, you know, they're only sitting 4 points from it, but their form lately has been catastrophic, really. 4 defeats in 5 have really put them towards the brink. And it does feel like that's the sort of job. I mean, I love that the top 4 is the exact 4 clubs that we really we can't take jobs at the moment. AGF up there as well. So, this is definitely looking good. Lord, spare a thought for Vela as well, with just the, 5 points and no wins. It's a bit iffy for them. At least Esbjerg have got 4 wins so far this season. And I'm sure there's a squad there if they're capable of being top 5 in each of the last 5 seasons. I said there's definitely a team there that we could build on, maybe. I don't want to have too deeper of a look until such time as maybe that job becomes available. We move. Okay, so new developments. Thomas Thomasberg's job at SecondYellowCard has been upgraded to very insecure with them at the moment. I mean, the top flight is, unfortunately, Esbjerg have dropped another point. But yeah, I mean, SecondYellowCard really struggling. 18 points on the board. They are very unlikely to, I think they're very unlikely to be in any real danger in the end because of the sheer quality or lack thereof below them with Randers and Vela. Although I don't know if it's 2 relegation or 3. Yes, it's only 2. So I think they'd be fine to stay up. Now, they've actually never won the top flight at any point in the club's history from what I can see. And their biggest, achievements really are sort of lower league titles. They have won the cup, actually, which I believe is the big cup, right? The big cup, he says. Like, I mean, you could drink out of it, but yes, they have. In fact, they won it last year, it would seem, and several times throughout their history as well. So they have got some pedigree there. But Thomas Thomasberg's job is definitely under fire. As you can see, 5th place media prediction for them as well. So to be down in 10th is very, very poor. So them and Esbjerg are definitely looking like the 2 most interesting jobs that are sort of maybe on the chopping block for us at this point. I'm not really sure of which of the 2 I would prefer. Esbjerg maybe have the slightly more illustrious history in terms of titles and maybe better facilities to go with it. But, you know, we love an underdog here, eh? And the interesting thing as well is that both of them are domestic rivals, fiercely domestic rivals with each other. So whoever we chose of the 2, if we were to take one of those jobs, would be a massive derby with the other one, which is kind of fun. Complete side note, but Tromsø have sacked their manager. The guy that replaced us has already been sacked. And if I'm being honest, I don't really blame them. They scraped into the 3rd Champions League spot, but my suspicion is that they were probably one of the favourites to win the title this year and have ended up losing the league by, 19 points and couldn't even finish 2nd. And they were very close, let's be honest. They only just got 3rd on goal difference. I mean, there was a real opportunity here that they could have come 6th this season like that. So you can see why they probably got rid. Where were they predicted? Yeah, they were... Oh my god, they were 10 to 11 on to win the title and they lost it by 19 points. I can see why he took the chopping block. Fancy going back, anybody? No, not yet. Okay, fair one. And literally, I didn't even see this. As that exact news article came through, or rather the day before, I didn't even notice this. The job at SecondYellowCard is available. The leading candidate is Manu Sanchez, who's currently managing Skovsted in the 2nd tier. But this feels like the type of job that we have to throw our name in the hat for, right? So I've just been looking at the Superliga in Denmark, and from what I can tell, they are now on the winter break. They've played their last matches, actually, in November. It's weird that they took an extra week to sack the SecondYellowCard boss, but there he goes. Apologies about the pronunciations. But they don't play any more league matches until the 21st of February. So it seems, I would say, very unlikely that Esbjerg's guy is going to lose his job in the meantime unless he was poached by someone else. And let's be honest, who wants him right now? But it seems unlikely that any other jobs are going to come available in the meantime. Now, of course, we still haven't actually heard anything about the interview or anything yet, weirdly, in the press. So that could still, I guess because it's in the off-season in a way, they're probably taking their time over it. So this will probably drag on for a bit, I suspect. But hopefully we'll get an interview, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the man who spoke too soon, as Jose Campagna has now been sacked by Esbjerg. So both of those jobs are now available. Oh, this is great. It's like Christmas. As is the Nishaping job. I've always loved Nishaping's badge. Look at that. Really solid. Is that a bear? It's a bear. How could you go wrong with a bear? Needless to say, we're going to probably apply for the Esbjerg job too. Manu Sanchez is actually favourite for both jobs, which is, I mean, come on, leave some for the rest of us, mate. But we're going to apply for this one too and just sort of see, well, at least if we get through both interviews, hopefully at some point, maybe SecondYellowCard, we can play them off against each other and see which one looks like the better option. At the moment, of the 2, it would probably be Esbjerg, but still, you know, we'll see what the situation's like. Finally, Björn Gunnar Rosvold's like, hang on a minute, there's another club that have just sacked their manager. We kind of need to move first on old Cali Forsberg here. So we can take this job interview, see what happens, wait for Esbjerg. might have an opportunity here. So I've been working really hard to make sure that our media reputation and all that stuff, where we handle things, is good to avoid any issues when it comes to these interviews of them saying random stuff. Very curious to see. They'll probably trot out the crap about how we haven't managed in Denmark or anything like that, but, you know, 1-2 European titles, so maybe slip that on the down low. Never previously managed in this country. Well, imagine that, eh? Fairly long absence from management. Do you know, Bjorn, I actually can't explain that for once. You're just going to have to trust me. Ignore the tan, or lack thereof. You're up for a few jobs right now. Are you hedging your bets? Yes. And also, it's 2. Come on, Bjorn. Doors seems to be closed. Hi, Bjorn. What about the money? Any thoughts of transfer budget? Wage budget? Anything? At least offer me a glass of milk, which is what I assume is in these white bottles here. Well, they were not hanging about. Good God. That was just like, bang, bish, bash, bosh. They've offered us the job straight off the bat. 6. Wow, that's actually more money than we were earning at Tromsø. Incredibly. Even the contract that Tromsø offered me as an extension was 6.5 grand a week, and Sønderjysk want to put that on the table. No money, basically. Wage budget, I don't know how much of that they're actually using. Now, obviously, we will delay, because we get a 2-week delay, because I'm still kind of holding out that Esbjerg might be the club for us, potentially. But were that one to not work out, and there's no signs of interest from them after 2 weeks, it does kind of feel like we would be choosing, I would say, the blue half, but it appears that they both play in blue, don't they? The absolute gall on Esbjerg. They didn't even offer us a job interview. I mean, clearly, they had a target in mind when it comes to Manu Sanchez, who was obviously wanted by Sønderjysk as well, but they never even offered us a job interview. But they did also interview Alexander Johansson. That's really weird. Unless they don't like me, maybe, because of something to do with the Windholm deal, or because of loanees in the past, because I think we have had multiple loanees actually from Esbjerg. It's weird that they would not even offer us a job interview, though. That's really strange. I guess this is the part where we swear revenge on them, basically, and guarantee that we are going to win a Danish league title before Esbjerg do for this absolute slight. How dare you turn down Kalle Forsberg? Incredibly, the guy that went for the job interview that was turned down for the Esbjerg role has now taken over as the manager of Malmö. So he's a quality manager as well. I mean, I still think we're better, obviously. But that's kind of mad that Esbjerg turned down this guy and Kalle Forsberg. Maybe they just don't like Swedish people. Me and Alexander, we've got problems here. To go with Manu Sanchez. Really interesting. It's just come to my attention that Manu Sanchez also Swedish, so we can put that to the side. I still don't understand why they've appointed him, but this is going to be interesting to see how it goes for him, I suppose. Well, here we are. I couldn't delay it anymore. It's the 7th of January. This is the job we have on the table right now. There's no other jobs that are looking forthcoming. I'll just give you a quick little glance at the sort of job security. There's not even jobs that are looking insecure at the moment. So, and one of those, of course, is Norwegian. It looks really like, conceivably, the only jobs that were actually going to come available maybe across the rest of the year would be Vela, who are looking nailed on to get relegated. Not that I would mind. We would do what we needed to do. Silkeborg, who seem to have recovered a little bit. And, of course, Esbjerg, but they don't really count either because they're not going to sack the manager again, are they? So it looks like our choice here has been made for us, essentially, and that is the choice of Sønderjysk Elitesport Fodbold, which I really do like as the name of a club. It kind of just rolls off the tongue, and I cannot wait for that first derby against Esbjerg, honestly. Also, just notice that they play at a stadium called Sydbank Park. Conflict of interest, anybody? It do be looking like it, doesn't it? Needless to say, the club that plays at Sydbank Park won the Sydbank Pokalen. So, hey, maybe we've got that on our side. Can we get them to sponsor the Champions League next? So with that in mind, we're going to jump into negotiations and get going. And then we're going to have a little look around the squad, sort of get things laid in and see what's going to happen. We won't actually be playing the first... Actually, no, because it's not going to be till like February. We won't be, of course, playing our first match in charge of Sønderjysk in today's video. So I do apologise for that because it's so far away into the future. But we can definitely have a look around the squad, look at the youth prospects, and see what this club has got to offer us over the next several seasons as we hope to try to win a Danish title with Sønderjysk. I think it's going to be really, really fun, and I'm actually quite excited about it. And I really like their badge. I really like that. That's nice. Big fan of that badge. There we are. Sønderjysk appoint Kalle Forsberg. Media prediction 5th. We're 10th. So there's clearly a squad here. Now, obviously, this goes based on the current tactic that we use, because the amount of times I've gone, wow, they play the same system as us, and it gets a bit weird when every single club seems to. So yeah, that's really not how this one works. Club was almost exclusively full of regens, with the exception of the goalkeeper Solberg and of course Matos here. So we'll have a little look at what these players are actually like, see if we can have a look at what the squad might look like, see what money's actually available, whether it's wage budget, all that sort of jazz. Let's get cracking. 56% win rate actually is very, very solid. 7 cups, 1 league title for Kalle Forsberg. They've got a quality manager here, I suspect. Youth intake preview, I forgot about all this. Review ongoing negotiation. Oh god, who are we selling? Oh god, that's loads of people. Okay, that's going to be more for next episode, I sense. That's really not ideal, particularly when it's a guy called Uffe Jon. Oh no, you dare. Absolutely not. We're going to join a damn club. Right, I can just say no, can't I? I think I can say no. They're trying to sell this 16-year-old chap here, Uffe Jonsson, for free. I wonder how they got into trouble. Right, youth intake preview. Come on. Oh, holy shit. What the Don't get me wrong. What the hell? I know that these often lie. Generally speaking, this is the part that lies, I find. I find that these are a bit more because the amount of times I've had golden generations and it will say golden generation, excellent youth intake, but only one thing here is like A- or a B or something. You're like, okay, that seems a bit sus. This, on the other hand, is absolutely obscene. A goalkeeper, fullbacks, at least 2 fullbacks, an attacking midfielder, a winger, 2 strikers. Anyone else? No? That's fine. That might be the best youth intake preview I've seen since this feature was introduced in this layout. That is outrageous. When is the youth intake, actually? I'm curious now. I think it's like March kind of time because it's Denmark, right? Okay, so sorting by ability. I mean, obviously this is based on the relativity for the squad, but there's some quality players in terms of star ratings at the very least in there too. Not a lot of huge amount of potential there, but maybe they're in the under-19 squad and they're just not using them. So there's plenty more players to look at. We'll definitely take a little gander. But for the start here, so this is Nordin Abid, who is a central midfielder. I mean, he's just solid, isn't he? 34 caps for Algeria. Really, really good player, by the looks of it. Not on huge amounts of money. Doesn't like big matches, but he is a nice, solid midfielder. Now, the lack of finishing means that he will really struggle a little bit as... Then again, left-footed. Ooh, left wing back? No. Right, we've got to be more sensible about that. He might end up playing in there for a bit, but I get the feeling that he's not really the type of player... He's more of an N'Golo Kante type player, honestly. Yeah, he might be the type of guy that might end up moving on just to facilitate the transfer of someone we want specifically for the squad, but we'll see. Konsta Jalonen, 26-year-old Finnish player. This is more like it. What foot are we talking? Right-footed. I mean, he's just immediately... Although, even up here, with that passing quality, could play in the Jesse Rakic role. For this squad as well. Finnish international, 9 caps and 2 goals. He's on quite a lot of cash, actually, nearly $8,000 a week. So it's not like Tromsø when we first took over. They've got some big players on some big money. Does like big matches. He's a leading top flight player. There's this man, Omar Karanadze, who is a right-sided winger. Oh, this implies they played wide players. Okay, so much like Tromsø did actually when we joined. So it's definitely going to take some molding. It's not going to be straight away, but we have this tactical style, and I do want to implement that on the team rather than start from scratch because I know it can work. It might just take a little bit to sort it out properly. But again, solid player. Could be a bit like Bubu Conte or those wide players that could play in the centre that we used before. Plus, playing him there would allow our other man, the Finnish lad, to drop a bit deeper and play on the right of our 2 midfielders. Now we've got René Ilse, who is yet again, he could play right wing back. No tackling ability, no marking ability. He would need to be on defensive positioning for the rest of his life. But this is a bit square peggy here, actually. So prepare for a bit of trouble, I suspect. I think that we'll be able to do enough just to have a solid first season. Christopher Carlson. Deep lying forward. 6'5", deep lying forward. Christopher Carlson. This is more like it. He's basically Christopher Lisa. He's got great composure as well. Solid-ish finishing. He's not even that slow for a guy who's 6'5". Great jumping reach. Really like him. What foot is he? So he's a right footer, which means he will slot in perfectly. We'll just have to swap the roles back over again for the strikers. Now we need an advanced forward to go next to him. That's the thing. Quality player, Portuguese. It was actually at União de Lira as well. So solid options. Some good wages on these guys too. In terms of it makes you think that we can get some good players. Isak Solberg, actually a Norwegian goalkeeper. I think I've seen this guy. Oh no, maybe not because he's trained in England. No, I remember looking at Norwegian goalkeepers at one point, but. Good reflexes, good aerial reach, 6'3". I actually really like him. Jens Desler Gorda, who is he's basically a fullback, really. He'd have to be retrained a little bit to play further up, but I wouldn't really want to put him at centre back. Then again, we got away with Sergio Sarria, but he lacks... At least Sarria could head a ball. We've also got Gulam Reza Musavi, who is a centre back. There we go. Good jumping reach, good heading. Yes, I like you. You're really solid. We need some more centre backs, though. Striker. Oh, my God. This is their star striker. Esben Bang. I suspect it's going to be Esben Bang's one into row Z with 4 finishing. He's very much a pressing type forward type of player. In fact, Adrian Bisgaard, who is a left-sided winger this time. Wow, yeah, look at the... I mean, we can work with it, but it's going to be very difficult at first. And that's fine, you know? Preben Storley. Oh, no, he's a winger as well. As if he's a fullback with... Then again, at least he has better... Wow, I'm not saying any... Yeah, our wingbacks are going to need to... Norwegian as well, though. Actually came through at Rosenborg. Robin Rolandson. Another centre-back. 6'2". Heading isn't great, but aerial, we could work on that. He is 29 years old, but really nice physicals. Like him a lot. Samir Pereira, a Frenchman, who... What is this? I mean, why is this? We've got Simon Westby as well. Another centre-back. Okay. Oh, my. And lastly, Sebastian Mahler, or Merla, who is a right-sided winger. He's only 16 years old, though, so in fairness to him, we can't expect too much from that. It's not the strongest squad, I'll be honest with you. Okay, this is going to be a challenge, and I like a challenge, honestly. What about the money situation? So, for God's sake. They're a negative 6.5 grand in wage budget. These better be enormous clauses. 15 grand, 15 grand. Okay. Remember that part where I thought we'd sign someone? Yeah, no. We're probably going to have to sell to buy, I suspect. This is going to be a project. A fixer-upper, if you like. But what about the youth team? Maybe there's some quality in there that we can peddle through like we did with Tromsø. And maybe we just wait 3 months for a youth intake and then get the greatest generation of Danish players I've ever seen, maybe. So have a look at the B team. Okay, so Uffe Jonsson's in the B team. The first thing I'm going to do actually is cancel those transfers on him. Like, are they out of their goddamn mind trying to get this guy to go for free? There's also this chap here, Benjamin Boyleson Plaug, who, they love a winger, don't they? What about the under-19s themselves? Casper? Are you okay, buddy? It must be extremely lonely. Our under-19 squad has 1 player. Are they just waiting for the youth intake? So in the meantime, of course, we've got some friendly scheduled. I'll sort that out as well. We've got a lot of work to do because currently we sit 10th in the league. We've got 5 games to go before the split, I believe, which is 22 matches. I mean, we're 6 points behind. I don't think there's a very strong chance of us actually getting into the top 6. If anything, we just need to make sure that we don't get relegated this year. So Vela still with the 0 wins. I think it's unlikely that we would do. Probably. We got a 5-point gap over Randers, and I think we'll probably be able to... I just want to finish above Esbjerg this season. That's my task at this point. That's what I want. But I think our plan for next episode really is going to be to try and sort this squad out, piece together a team how we like, see where the massive holes are in that squad, try to wheel and deal maybe a couple of loan signings or something to try to sort that out and get a team together that we think can play our style of football. And I know you might be thinking, you should just build a new tactic at this point, but I like what we have. I think it plays really good fun football to watch, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to wedge every single one of those square pegs into all those bloody round holes, damn it. I am belligerent about it. Though while we're here, I just want to have a look at the registration rules. So players under 20 don't have to be registered. Wow. I like that. That's great. Love that. Free transfers registered at any time. Love that. Foreign players signed on free transfers can be registered at any time. Love that. And then it's just a standard 8 and 4 kind of rule like you have most of the time with a 25 max, which is actually fairly low, but I'm guessing it doesn't matter because if they're under 20, they don't have to be registered. So it kind of balances it out a little bit because that's 5 players, essentially 25 players over the age of 20 at that age. So really like that because it means we could sign young players with work permit rules of £750 a month for non-EU and actually have them be in the squad without any worries. I think, honestly, we could go Wonder Kid hunting in this save within a couple of years and start to bring in the guys that I couldn't get when we were at Tromsø because of the squad reg rules. And I think that's where we're going to call it here. Now, I realise this one has been a slightly shorter episode than normal. It's hard to tell when you've been recording for such a long time, but I realise there's been less stuff. But I think we're in a good position right now. I think there's an interesting side here. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can achieve. And if you are too, please do join me along for the ride with this journey. We're going to try and win the league here and then, well, see what happens. It's not going to be anytime soon, I suspect. It's going to take us a little while to build our way there, but we know how we can do it. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, and I really hope you have, I'm massively excited about this, to be honest. Drop a like on the video. If we could hit 300 again, that would be super duper lovely. And yeah, I stream on Twitch as well, so do that too. Do that? Don't do that. I mean, you can if you want, but follow me first, eh? I also subscribe here. That would be lovely. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.